Hi, everyone. My name is Katie O'Hara Krebs, and I am the social media editor for Portal, Libraries, and the Academy. Also joining is my fellow social media editor, Carmen Cole. We are pleased to welcome Kristyn Caragher, Assistant Professor and Reference and Liaison Librarian for STEM at the University of Illinois, Chicago, to speak about her article entitled Administrators' Perceptions of Racial Equity Accountability Practices in Academic Libraries. This article can be found on Portal's preprint site in Volume 25, Issue 1. The article is free to read, and viewers may access the article by navigating to the Johns Hopkins Press preprint site for Portal. So thank you so much for joining us today, Kristyn. Wonder if you could share with us a little about what inspired you to delve into this research topic.
Yeah, thank you, Katie, and thank you for having me. So in 2020, I was appointed to the Joint ALA-ARL Building Cultural Proficiencies for Racial Equity Task Force. This was right as the pandemic hit. I had just started my first tenure track job, and a small group of us from the task force began to convene to create the survey that informed this article. Um, and so, as I said in the beginning of this article as well, George Floyd also was just murdered, and this sparked protests and calls for justice. I had been really thinking about accountability and what it means to be accountable. And as we were designing the survey, and the libraries were putting out letters to demonstrate their solidarity, I knew we needed to gather the perceptions of library employees to see if essentially their institutions were living up to these solidarity statements. And then more generally, the purpose of the survey that we developed was really to ensure that the cultural proficiencies and racial equity framework was actually informed by the experiences of library workers.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could give us just a brief summary of the article that was published in the latest issue of Portal.
Yeah. So administrators' perceptions of racial equity, accountability practices in academic libraries. Um, in this, I analyzed the results from three questions from the Racial Equity in Libraries dataset that specifically focus on racial equity accountability in academic libraries. And I do so by focusing on the responses from academic library administrators specifically, and differences between white and Black, Indigenous, and people of color library administrators. The broad takeaway is really that white academic library administrators tend to believe that library administrators in general are more accountable for racial equity than BIPOC library administrators. While this may not be, entirely surprising, I think it does help us get a sense of where we need to go from here. And then I analyze these results in tandem with accountability literature, which is something that the LAS field really hasn't pulled from. And so my hope is really that we can start to pull from this literature and really think about how we want to conceptualize of accountability when we make calls for it.
Wow, thank you. This is a really important topic, and you already told us a little bit about like the takeaway, but is there anything else that you really want to stick with the portal readers here as they are perusing and reading through your article in this volume?
Yeah, I could not have imagined that this article would have been coming out as we're facing so much in society now. And so I think my biggest takeaway from the article and in the that can also be applied to the political context is we really need academic library administrators to work together and to actually continue to stand up for racial equity and making sure that they're actually following through on their commitments.
Thank you so much for speaking with us again today, Kristen. It's a great article. Again, viewers can read the article for free via the Johns Hopkins Press preprint site for Portal. And we thank you for your time, and we thank you all of those watching today to keep your eye out and keep your eye out for our next author interview.